Today on the bench, we have this NB48 2.2. Belongs to my son. He had some motor issues at the last race we ran down at Ossified RC Raceway, Ossified Off-Road RC Raceway. His motor mount screws came out of the motor mount. The motor mount itself came loose from the chassis. It was just bad. So I've got a new motor mount, a new clutch bell, new spur. I have two new bells. I want to try this RC Project one to see if it fits. If it doesn't, we'll go back to this Reds bell, which is what is on there now. So yeah, let's jump right into this, see what we can do. The first thing you got to do is disconnect the throttle linkage. But what we need to do first is pull this air filter boot off. And I have a cap somewhere for these to put over the carb so that we do not get any dust and things like that in there. Let me find my cap. I think this one will do. Yeah, that covers that. Now we just need to yank this linkage off. My motor's out. Mostly because it was already out due to the screws missing. You can see there's only one screw holding this mount tray in, and then this is loose, or it was loose from the bottom. It's actually been tightened back up, but we'll get it back out of there. For the motor, the clutch bell is completely chewed up. We need more light, guys. Huh? Let's go. Yeah, so the bell completely shot. We'll put a new one on there. Let's do that first. I like to use vice grips and grab the flywheel, and I'll loosen them up just so I only really clamp the flywheel loosely. I don't want to put teeth marks in it. There you go. Then this has a 2mm screw in the front. That was in there nice and tight. Looks like we've got a couple of shims on the front, 3. We'll save those. And since this bell is shot, we won't be using it any longer, and I don't like to reuse bearings ever if I'm doing these kind of things. These bearings look fine, they feel fine, but not doing it. Just not doing it. This is shot, this goes in the bin. So I want to try this RC Project bell. I've heard good things. I do not know if it'll fit, but I want to try it anyway. I have some bearings in there for it. It does not come with bearings. You do have to add those yourself. Let me get some brake cleaner. I always like to put a little brake cleaner on my clutch bell before I put it in, because I want to make sure that any oil in there is out of there. I don't know if it really matters. Probably that oil, if there was any, would burn off very quickly, you know, on the car, but better safe. Get any rust, any kind of oil off. That should do that. Nice and easy. Now we have bearings. front and back. There's a shim on the front of this. Let's leave it and see what happens. It looks like it probably needs another shim. Let's try another shim on the back. It seems to be binding on something. Is it just on the shoes, maybe? Yeah. All right. I think from there, I'll leave the shims off of this and see what happens. Well, I mean, there's plenty of play. It runs nice. Might put one shim in the front. One more back, one more front. One more back and one front. That looks a little bit better. And then one front. Let's see how that does us. I worry about that little catch on the shoes, but I don't guess it really matters. It puts the mesh like dead center too. That's nice. I'll have to send this video to my friend who told me that this clutch bell would not work with the red clutch. I just had to put a couple of shims behind and one in the front, and it's got a little bit of play. It does bind a little bit on a shoe, maybe, but I don't see a problem. I think that'll wear in. And the shoes, you can't really see out of the bottom, which is good. I mean, this all looks good to me, other than that little bit of rub, but that I think will come right off. Okay, let's go motor mount. Gonna need a 2.5 ball end. These J&T mount, I'll just get rid of. Sadly. And then there's not one on this side. We don't need to take that out. Oh, we do need to take this off because there's a replacement for this as a part of this mount. You'll see this mount is different than the stock Techno one in that it does not have a front leg. This front leg right here doesn't exist on the One Army mount. The idea is to eliminate this leg on the mount and allow the chassis to flex here. We'll see how that goes. Take all these chassis motor mount screws out. Oopsie. I won't reuse that screw, it's stripped. Let's see, I hope I can get it out. No. Okay, we're gonna have to do something about that one. I've got a Dremel and a cutoff, or we'll use this hard L engraver tool and a cutoff wheel. Oopsie. I'll grab that in a second. Okay, we just need to get that last screw. Oopsie. A cutoff wheel in here, I believe. Let's see if we can find one. There is discs. Small wheel, let's try it. Because, you know, YOLO. How does this thing spin? That way. Take this little screw out. It's a long screw. And there's these little stupid washers. We need one on. And this is gonna go that way. Right. Just thread that on this way. Let's try it. Ooh, that's obnoxious. Let's give it some more gas. Yeah, I don't think that's working. I think we're just dulling the blade. Yeah. Useless. Okay. Let's get the real deal. Those are too big. Good Lord. But maybe. One day I have to get organized. Cut off. There we go. Oopsie. All right. Now we're cooking. If you don't know what I'm doing here, this screw is stripped out. I'm going to cut a slot in it and try to put a slot screwdriver in there and see if we can work it out. It doesn't always work. Yeah, we need to cut deeper. Let's try that. Where did I put my screwdriver? What? I just had it. Where did I put it? Ah. All right. Well, I'll have to try something maybe different. I don't know. See if that's deep enough. I did it again, didn't I? I put my screwdriver down and I don't know where I put it. I did it again. Jeez. Jeez, stay there. No. Maybe I'll just cut the bolt off. No. Got it the rest of the way off. You know what? try this instead. That got it. Wowee. Just needed a bigger screwdriver. So that's chewed up to hell, huh? I don't think we're going to use this anymore. It's pretty bad. Let's see what we got instead. I need a washer. And we will need an M4 by 10 or 12. 12 probably, right? Yeah, I even have washers in here. How about that? Thank you, past me. Okay. Let's dig into this. One Army motor mount. Like I said, this is the flex mount, and I'll explain that in a second as we lose everything. Okay, so the stock Techno mount has two pieces. It's basically, you could take this leg and this leg off, and you'd have just this bar on the one side and just this bar on the other side, right? So the Techno stock one is just that. It's just a bar and a bar. This is a J&T motor mount. The idea here is to tie the pieces together, and so there's not flex, you know, across the mount. The One Army mount does exactly the same thing, except that it eliminates this front leg and allows the chassis to flex here, where at present you would have, you know, your chassis screw into the mount back here, and then one up here in the front, and between those they don't let the chassis flex here. So, you know, you imagine that the chassis wants to bend this way and it won't flex. You know, we'll see how it does, what the difference is, but it's not that much different in design and style, right? It's just a mount, and then there's little ears that go on the motor itself that allow you to kind of quick change your motor. So if you want to either just quick change your motor out, or you want to run two cars with the same motor, for instance, and you don't want to take the whole motor mount assembly off, you can just take these two sleds off that are still attached to the motor, and then send it. But we'll get rid of this guy. It's got stripped out holes and it's not holding anything. We will need some Loctite. I like to put some Loctite in these M4 holes to start, because that's the first thing I want to do is put this thing down on the chassis plate. And sometimes you'll see me run screws in and out of holes when there's Loctite involved, because I want to make sure that it gets spread all inside the threads, right? I don't want there to be any question that there's Loctite on this stuff, and it should never ever come out without my permission. Just take this washer off and make things easier, huh? At least temporarily, just to run this thread lock up in the threads. Thread lock is anaerobic, meaning it does not need air. In fact, it won't hardly harden just in air. You have to have the screws and the threads in place to kind of seal it up so it will harden. So, like we said, this screw hole is going to have the replacement for the flex mount, which in this case is just a 3D printed part. You'll screw this down to the deck, and then you'll screw your your fuel tank into it. That's the word I was looking for. Wrong hole? Yes. And I'll just snug these down. I'm not doing anything too fancy. Just want to get them down so things on there nice and close to tight, and then I can adjust it to the right spot once I get the motor on there. All right, so we can set our mesh. And then I might need to clean up the other side from the thread lock. Yeah, there's some blobs there. Let's clean that up. Our screw came right to the top of the mount. Good job, I didn't use the wrong size screws. So that's the mount in, and you see it slides as I didn't tighten it all the way down. And let's get the fuel tank holder in place. So just use another one of these screws off of the last one. And this is just a 3D printed part, and the wider side goes down. One nice thing I will say about this part is that it lets you adjust the location of the fuel tank independently of the motor mount. I'll show you in a second when I turn this back over. You'll see what I mean. Okay. Or not. Let's see. Then we need to get the, put that screw back in the top. Okay, so what's cool about this, right? I'm gonna have my exhaust pipe here, right? And my fuel lines are here, my tank is here. If I have this leg here connecting these two, I can't change where the fuel tank sits in relation to the exhaust. So with this little change, I can actually adjust this part wherever I like. I can move it in closer to the diff. I can move it out closer to the exhaust. It's not really it's independent of the mount now. Okay. So that's the mount installed. You can see the 3D printed part that's holding our fuel tank in, and I've pushed my fuel tank in as far as I can towards the diff, because I'd like to keep it away from my fuel tank. I mean, from my exhaust. And then what we need to do then is take the ears that the motor actually connects to, and get these set up on the motor. So I'll take a little bit of Loctite and put in these holes here, because these are the ones that ultimately are going to get the screws for the motor. And I'll just do the same thing, just get a little bit of dab in there, and then run the screw in to get the Loctite spread inside. Now you can see it bubble up, and we're done. Back it back out. Same thing on the other side. See it bubble up, back it back out. And then they've given us some screws with this kit to use, so I won't reuse these screws. I just am using these for getting that Loctite spread around. And this screw hole doesn't seem to want to bite. There it goes. All right. Now we have to get a little bit fancy here, because they have us do some things that are a little bit different. Let's move some of these washers around so we do not get confused. Let's work with the ones we've got. So what they want you to do is to take a screw, a split washer, and then a flat washer. And you're going to put these, so screw, split washer, flat washer, through your motor mount, through your motor, and then you'll come in with your 2.5 ball, and you want to put the ears that stick out, go to the back. Oopsie. Should probably get a squeeze out of Loctite at the end, maybe, I hope, yes. There's my shop rag. All right, same thing on the next one. It's screw, split washer, flat washer, crank these down nice and tight. These are, again, things that you don't want coming off without your permission. You'll hear me say that a lot. So that's the one side done. Screw, split washer, flat washer. There we go. Alrighty, screw. That is a flat washer. That won't do. I need a split washer, then a flat washer. Crank that down. Okay. From there, we do need to put a little Loctite in each of these holes because they are the ones that are going to carry the motor ears. Come on. Yep. And then probably make sure that tops of these are clear of Loctite. I get Loctite in between the ear and the sled, you know? So we'll do the same thing. Screw, split washer, flat washer. I might as well just assemble these, huh? Screw, split washer, flat washer. Screw, split washer. Oops. Flat washer. Screw, split washer. Flat washer. And then we can run these in with the motor. Wait, what? Oh, there it goes. Settle down. Yeah. I'll crank these down a little. You don't want these coming off without your permission. Last one. That's it. That is the mount installed. I'm not going to mesh it right now because I'm going to make another video in a moment where we're going to take this center diff out and do some magic there. I need to replace this spur because it is chewed up. It's time for a new one there. And I've got another surprise for this guy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the bench. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you.